Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. Yes, Trump had to move the side of the inauguration. I know a lot of people are disappointed who flew out to Washington, D.C., who worked hard on the campaign to be a part of it. I was invited to several events, had options of VIP passes, which, my reasoning was, even if you get to go to some things, it's really just kind of standing around in rooms and talking to people. What I really want to see is the television coverage. I want to see all the behind the scenes stuff, and I don't necessarily want to just sit around talking. I want to savor the moment. So I didn't go to DC. There's other things that are going on that you can participate in. But as far as going to Washington, D.C., I know a lot of people are disappointed, and I kind of thought it might go down like this, and that even if you had the optimal VIP seats, you're still one of hundreds of thousands of people tucked into a small area trying to get access to somebody that you simply can't get close to. Used to be, back in the when Trump first got involved in these things, you could actually talk to him and meet him, but it's much harder now than ever, especially at big events like the inauguration. It's a hostile world. There's a lot of bad characters out there that want to stop Trump, that don't even want him to take the oath. They want to stop it before it happens. They'll be doing it perpetually going forward. Everybody's not just going to go away and not try and take him out. He's going to be the biggest target in the world for malicious intent. So changing the venue, when people are trying to kill you, it's good not to have a schedule that they can plan it to. You got to at least make it hard for them. Make it give yourself a chance to thwart their plans. So standing out in front of everybody like the previous time when he did it outside the Capitol, and you had all those people fill in the mall. Though I think those days are kind of over. At least, I think they're pretty much over. I don't think we'll ever see something like that again. And even if Trump did do it, there would be criticisms of how big the crowds were. If he couldn't fill 1 million people in there, there would be constant ridicule about it. And there really isn't any way to win that whole thing. It was going to be freezing cold. I know a lot of people are suspicious that it's because of security, which I think is well warranted as a suspicion. That it's not because of the cold that they moved the venue around. But it's going to be really cold, and it's really dangerous for people, and you're going to be using porta potties in 0-degree weather. It just isn't good, and it would be great to have 500,000 or 1 million people to show that kind of support for Trump staying out in the mall. But there's going to be a percentage of that population that just isn't going to be able to withstand that terribly cold weather. But no matter what happened, it would be criticized because there's just no way to win that one. A certain amount of people aren't going to come out because of the cold, and it would look bad optically because pictures don't remember how cold it was out there. They would only see that the crowd would be less sparse than anticipated. But I think the other comments about the inauguration, how Biden went out, how the Biden people went out, Janet Yellen left, all these people left in kind of a whimper, and they're wondering for the shoe to drop. Of course, there's some protesters out there, the pink hat ladies, and some crazy radical trans activists, abortion activists, and people like that who are making their voices known, but they're really a pretty small minority. I think a lot of people are wondering why there isn't more resistance to Trump as there was in 2016. And you got all the Zuckerbergs and the Jeff Bezoses and the Bill Gates, and everybody's out there trying to find some hook that they can find that they like about Trump now, as opposed to trying to destroy him. All of them have been guilty of just trying to destroy him before. I mean, it's not just Elon Musk that's now a part of the Trump team. It's a whole bunch of characters who had not been Trump supporters previously. And of course, that makes people who have been committed to Trump all this time very anxious because it doesn't seem quite right to all of a sudden have all these people supportive. So what's with it? What's with the sudden support? And I just tell you that's what when you conquer your enemies, that's what it looks like. People ask, how did Alexander the Great create the great Greek Empire all over the Mediterranean area into the Near East? How did he manage to do that? Well, you don't necessarily conquer your enemies through force. You can bring them into your culture, let them preserve some of who they are, and make them bend the knee to you, and let them live. And then that's how you expand an empire. In this case, we're taking the MAGA attitude, and you don't anticipate that these people who are all of a sudden bending the knee to Trump are going to be loyal to Trump. But for their own self-interest, they'll do what it has to be done to stay on at least in the good graces of the power that's come to be. And I would say that that's a testament to everybody who worked on this thing. I mean, I can say for myself, I've been reflecting on it. I mean, a good 8 solid years of hard work every day just to move the needle a little bit for what you can do as one person, or that might touch 1,000 people. You still are only moving a little bit, but that little bit over time, just like the minute hand on a clock. Soon it turns into an hour, soon it turns into a day, soon it turns into a year. And that's a good way to look at it. Move the needle a little bit every day, and eventually you end up with a big change. And that's what we're dealing with. And the reason why there's not more resistance is because they're out of gas. I said that from the beginning, that these guys were not going to be able to fight it. I predicted many years ago that if you sustain victories over all these oppressive elements, that eventually they're just going to run out of bullets, and we're not going to have any left. And this is what's happened with the MAGA movement. This is why you have all of a sudden all these people, much different kind of inauguration, where everybody's on Trump's train because he won. He won legitimately. He won in 2020. He won in 2016. Everybody knows it. And the Biden people were election fraudsters that put forth somebody, and all these characters that all of a sudden now trying to appeal to Trump, including Jeff Bezos, including Bill Gates, for their own ability to survive what's obviously happened. They're bending the knee because they have no choice. And the reason they don't have a choice is because Trump supporters, the MAGA people, the 30% out there who never wavered and always stuck behind Trump, you move the needle enough that you defeated the enemy. And the enemy was those who were trying to take down the United States and turn it into a globalist monstrosity. So now the power is all shifted, and the kind of people who I call them blue pillars are looking for whatever they have to do to survive. They don't have ethical standards the way most people do. The Biden's people went out because they never were there to begin with. It was all smoke and mirrors, and now that everybody knows, everybody's kind of sheepish, and there isn't a whole lot of fight left in them to push back. That doesn't mean you have countries like China who have been told, hey, you're going to be the global power forever, and we're giving the globalism reign over to you to spread communism everywhere. And so a lot of these enemies have funneled billions and trillions of dollars into China to be a hostile actor to force the world into globalism with communism as the model. And now that game has changed, and Trump is here to turn sovereignty back into the United States, strengthen the dollar, undo all the things that China has been working behind the scenes to do. So of course there's going to be hostilities. It's going to become a problem very quickly when China realizes there's no way to sweet talk their way through this Trump administration the way they did with Biden, and had their guy really in the White House. And they had the honeypots, had compromised politicians all over Washington, D.C. that they could exploit at a will at any moment. Trump surviving all he did, and arriving to be inaugurated as the 47th president was a sheer will of people protecting their sovereignty with an elected representative that was willing to fight for the right to do so. So yeah, the world is going to be trying to do what they can to get rid of that, vote that we had for ourselves and our own personal rule. And Trump being the symbol of that, they're going to, of course, try to take him out. So it was very smart to move the venue and forget about the optics, change the way the game is played, and definitely don't be predictable when there's antagonizers out there trying to destroy you at the first opportunity. And if they could, they would. I think it was very wise to change things up and keep everybody on their heels, because we're going to have a wild and woolly ride here. But as far as the political resistance, it was all built on a house of cards, wet cards at that, and you didn't have to do a whole lot to blow them all down, because they were never. It was all built on phony baloney to begin with. So, so be it. It went out with a whimper because it was never built with strength to begin with, and it's kind of what we expected. All you had to do is outlast it, and pretty soon the illusion just drifted into the dust and evaporated. And that's exactly what we saw with the inauguration. 2025 of President Trump returning to the White House, which he should have never been left to begin with. But I would say the best thing that could have happened, even though it was very painful, was that he had 4 years to realize the game that was played against him. All the bad guys had to show their cards, and they had to be depleted. And just like any conquering empire, when you conquer your enemies, they bend the knee. You give them you give them another day to live, and make them bend to your will, and turn them into assets. And it's exactly what Trump's been doing, and that's why everybody's falling in line nicely, the way it should have been in 2016, the way it certainly should have been in 2020, and now we're finally getting it right in 2025, and that's great to see. And encouraging. And I know it's disappointing that a lot of people wanted to share in that event, and they ended up walking around Washington, D.C. kind of aimlessly, nowhere to really go, and freezing cold because it was difficult to get anywhere. But the effort is worth it, and really the inauguration is the first day of the new fight to make the world right again. Not just make America great again, but to fix the world that's been broken. And there's going to be a lot of antagonizers out there. They're going to be very, very vicious because they realize the game that they were promised all their lives is going to be different. And you can expect a lot of anger as a result of that, and a lot of plotting and scheming to try and stop it. But really, they're never going to be able to stop it, because it's a drive by the human race to do something that has always been in the back of everybody's minds, and Trump is just a symbol of it. He's a guy that had his hand up, that was willing to go through the endurance of doing it, but behind him are millions and millions and millions, billions of people all over the world rooting for his success, and the people behind him who have helped make it so. And the inauguration is just step one of that whole experience. There's a whole lot more to come, and it's going to be very pleasurable to do so, because it's a mission certainly worth achieving. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Have a good day. See you later.